If you're a fan of electronic music and you've never been to Miami Music Week, you're gonna wanna watch this video. I just got back from my first ever Miami Music Week and live to tell the tale. In today's video, I'm gonna break down what we did when we went to Miami Music Week, some of the venues, some of the mistakes we made, lessons learned, and overall some tips and insight if you are interested in attending Miami Music Week. But be warned, if you watch today's video, you're gonna wanna get your budget ready so that you can have the best time at Miami Music Week next year. For those that don't know me, I'm Aid. I'm a festival content creator as well as a life coach for ravers, and I've been creating content for the rave community for the past 8 years. And I don't know why it's taken me so long to go to Miami Music Week, but I finally did it. I have seen so many of my friends go to Miami Music Week as well as Ultra Music Festival. It felt so good to finally cross this off my list and experience this for myself, and we will definitely be back next year. Just to recap what Miami Music Week is, it really is a week-long event filled with industry events, tons of different music events going on all around Miami. We got pool parties, we got warehouse parties, we got parties at Club Space, as well as Ultra Music Festival that is intertwined within this as well. It is a perfect celebration to electronic music and really celebrating what this genre has grown into and is continuing to grow into, as well as kicking off festival season and music season. A lot of artists debut new music as well as record labels and parties that they've never thrown before. It really is an exciting and exhilarating time to be in Miami when you go to Miami Music Week. We chose not to do Ultra Music Festival. I did want to try to go one of the days, however, they don't sell single day passes. And on the final day of Ultra this year, it did rain a little bit. That caused a little bit of some issues. So we did not get to make it to Ultra. However, if you are wanting to do both Miami Music Week events and Ultra, you definitely could make it happen. It just comes with a little bit of planning and figuring out the best schedule that's going to work for you. To kick things off, when it comes to planning your Miami Music Week, a lot of the events started dropping end of January, around beginning of February. And if you have certain events or things in mind that you want to do or artists that you want to see, you definitely want to keep an eye on their socials, because that is how you're going to find out about some of these events. And the best thing you can do is try to get the tickets the moment that they drop and to get them on the first tier. And that is what we did with a lot of the events that we were going to. We were just keeping an eye on some of our favorite artists, as well as some of the venue spaces that we wanted to check out, like Factory Town and Club Space. Getting tickets on the first tier is definitely the best way to go. As well, if you are going to Factory Town or Club Space, my recommendation is to get an anytime entry ticket. That way you're not on any type of schedule. With both of those venues, they tend to do, you know, before 11 p.m., before 1 a.m., before 3 a.m., after 10 a.m. It can be really confusing and it kind of puts you in a little bit of a time constraint. Whereas getting an anytime entry ticket, even though it costs a little bit more, it does just help planning wise. And I'll share towards the end of this video just how much money we spend, so that way you can get an idea of how much you need to budget for some of these events. In terms of where to stay, if you are someone that's gonna be flying in for Miami, we stayed in North Miami Beach. I've stayed in Wynwood before, I've stayed in South Beach before in Miami. We ended up having a connection through my work where I was able to get a hotel in North Miami Beach, so that ended up working out for us. It did impact us a little bit when it came to the Ubers and Lyfts in terms of costs, and then how long it took for us to get to some places. So you definitely want to take a look, you know, if you could be somewhere within downtown or near the airport, or you could also look in Wynwood. If you are going to Ultra, maybe Brickell would be better, but if you're not going to Ultra, then I would maybe stay away from all the chaos and commotion of that. You can definitely figure out where you want to stay that might fit best, whether you want to do a hotel or an Airbnb. I personally liked the hotel. It was super comfortable for us, and it was just me and my boyfriend and where we were staying, and we had a lot of good food options near us, which ended up working out. But definitely take a look beforehand and start planning out, you know, 6 months to 5 months. That way you can lock in some of the more cheaper rates. With overall planning wise, it is Miami Music Week. A lot of the events do start on Tuesday and go to Tuesday, basically, especially with Club Space. They did kick off on Tuesday night, and their closing party went all the way to the next Tuesday night. We did Wednesday to Monday. We ended up actually staying till Tuesday because we had some flight issues. But I think for us, we even figured out we could totally go from Friday to Tuesday and be fulfilled with that amount of days. Wednesday to Tuesday was definitely a lot, but we had a great time. So you can think about, you know, what amount of days you want to do certain things. Ultra is Friday to Sunday, and the festival does end early. So you could, in theory, maybe do Ultra Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and then you could do maybe one of the closing parties on Sunday night. I know a lot of people did that. You could also do Factory Town on Thursday if you wanted to as a lead into Ultra, and really kind of be thinking about that. The one thing we didn't do was a pool party this year. I kind of wanted to do it, but the pool parties are during the day and they do go into night. So it'd have to be something like you go to the pool party, maybe you eat dinner, have a cat nap, right? And then you go to Space at like 7 a.m. the next day, technically. You really do kind of have to work your schedule and also flip your sleep schedule when it comes to being in Miami. You gotta get on that Miami sleep schedule for sure. Let's break it down event by event. The first event that we went to Experts Only, which was at Toejam Backlot. This is John Summit's record label, and he also puts on events all throughout the country that is called Experts Only. We were really excited for this event, and it was kind of a multi-stage, only had 2 stages. They had the main stage, and then they had an inside stage that had local Miami talent. We ended up getting there a little bit later than we wanted. Honestly, we needed a little bit of the rest. However, I will probably never go to Toejam Backlot again. I'll just say that. It was super packed, super overcrowded. I know that, you know, John and his team can only do so much, but I was hearing a lot about Toejam Backlot all throughout the weekend. And how there was definitely some overselling and overcrowding. A little bit of a bummer, we spent $90. I don't think it was the first tier that we got. I think we got like tier 3 or tier 4 because the tiers went so quick by the time that the tickets had dropped. But we still spent $90, and we got to see Max Tyler back-to-back Late and Giordani. I was super excited for that back-to-back, but we were all the way in the back and the sound wasn't even that great, and it was super packed and really hot, honestly. I think this event would have been a lot more enjoyable. I loved the layout of Toejam Backlot. It seemed like a really cool layout and production and what they had set up for Experts Only, but there was just too many people to even really enjoy it. And we saw a little bit of John Summit's set. We saw the first 15 minutes of it, got to see a couple of the openers, and we saw it from the left-hand side where there was like some spillage of the crowd because there was like a big wall that kind of boxes you in. We ended up leaving. We just couldn't do it anymore. I was just thinking I could watch this on YouTube and enjoy it from my home than being here, which it was just really disappointing as a fan of John Summit and Experts Only. But it kind of was just like, all right, lesson learned on this venue. Now we know what it's about. This venue probably isn't great to have a bigger artist at. And if it does, like, they need to limit tickets so it's enjoyable for people to actually be able to dance and move and all the things. So that was kind of a bummer as our kickoff to Miami Music Week, but we did have tickets to Franky Rizardo at the ground, and we're really grateful we didn't sell these tickets. This was at Club Space. It's at the ground level floor. They sometimes have, you know, shows going on up at the terrace, and then they have the ground level floor open for a show. And so Franky Rizardo was on at like 3 a.m. and we actually ended up making it for Franky Rizardo, and then got to see Black Child. And I think the show ended at like 5:30 a.m., but we didn't stay the full time. But that ended up redeeming it, getting to see Franky Rizardo. I'd never seen him before and had been wanting to see him. Same thing with Black Child. And it was the perfect redemption to kicking off our Miami Music Week. Super easy to get to, and something to know about, you know, Club Space is that they do have a $20 minimum for credit card purchases. So anytime you want to purchase water, you know, it's $5 for water if you're paying with cash, $6 if you're paying with a card. You need to get 4 waters in order to pay with your card, basically. So that was definitely some lessons learned there, but we ended up having a great time. And again, it ended up working out. That ticket was $20 for anytime entry. And it ended up working out. So we got to see what we could with Experts Only, got to finish out our night 1 and really enjoy Franky Rizardo, which was his flow event at the ground. And that completed night 1, day 1 of our Miami Music Week. Moving into Thursday. So we got to go to Factory Town for the first time. I had heard so many things about Factory Town over the years and had never been. I had been to Miami before for 3 Points, but never been to Factory Town. So I was really curious to see what this venue space was like, and honestly, it is a mini festival. It goes from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I believe we got there like 9 or 10, I want to say, on this day. There are 5 stages. There's the main stage, which is the Infinity Room. There's the Chain Room. There's a warehouse. There's the park, and then there's Cypress End. And it's really cool to see how they transform all these different spaces. And I saw a video about what Factory Town used to be. It used to be like a mattress factory. And this is also by the same people who own Club Space as well. We had gotten anytime entry tickets on the first tier, and they were $60, which I feel like is a very fair price, honestly. I looked back and I couldn't even believe I paid $60 for that experience. I thought it was great. We got there at a good time. Security was super easy and seamless. They do have water stations. They have food. They have merch. They have all these different little areas to explore. They have different brand activations. Like, it literally felt like its own mini festival. Like, you could go to Miami Music Week, buy the Factory Town. They have an all access pass where you have a pass for all 5 days, Wednesday to Sunday. And that would be like a 5-day music festival. because each day is different. Like they have different artists at the main stage, like at Infinity Room on Wednesday was Clooney, on Thursday it was Marco Corolla, on Sunday it was Elro. So it's really cool to see all the different artists that come through there that really transform those spaces. And the production is just amazing with all the stages. We kept bouncing back and forth between Infinity Room and Chain Room. But there was also the park. That's where Sarah Landry had her takeover. Inside the warehouse was a drum and bass takeover for the first time. And Cypress End is even a cute little intimate area as well. So we really enjoyed our Factory Town experience. And like I said, we kept bouncing back and forth between Marco Corolla's Music On takeover and then Ben Sterling's Planet X takeover. All of the sets were incredible that we saw. We kicked off with Franky Rizardo, back-to-back East End Doves, which was amazing. And that went into Chris Stussy. And then from Chris Stussy, it went to a 4-hour Marco Corolla back-to-back Luciano set. So we kept bouncing back and forth because then at the Chain Room, there was Josh Baker into Rossi. Rossi was probably my favorite of the night. Then we had Ben Sterling back-to-back Beltran, and then it was Ben Sterling back-to-back Beltran, back-to-back special guest, which was Chase West. And it was just an incredible time. Go watch the vlog from that day because you could see all the clips of things. The music was incredible, and I think we ended up staying until 6:30. It did take a second for us to get an Uber because we're in Hialeah, I think it's called. A little bit more north of the airport, and some Uber Lyft drivers probably saw we were going to North Miami Beach and we're like, no, we're not going to take them there. So it took a little bit of a second, and then we finally got an Uber and was able to go there. But the production was incredible. There's also food options. I don't know if I mentioned it. You could even get a tattoo. They had like a tattoo parlor going on. But we were very content with Factory Town, and we definitely want to go back. And we ended up buying tickets for Sunday to go back because we loved our Factory Town experience so much. And moving into our Friday, Saturday plans, we ended up going to Solid Grooves at Space, and this was probably like my favorite part of the whole week. Even though I loved Factory Town so much, I had seen videos year after year of Solid Grooves at Space, and I would just always be like, man, that looks so fun, that looks so cool, like I wish I could be there. And to finally be there and be on the dance floor and see Michael Beebe, see all of these amazing artists was just next level 10 out of 10. I had an anytime entry ticket. My boyfriend had a before 3 a.m. ticket. In hindsight, we probably could have just both had anytime entry tickets, gone around the 5 to 7 a.m. time frame is what we were thinking was probably better. But it's okay because we got to enjoy a stacked night of music between Chase West, back-to-back Beltran, and Kina Howe. Wheats was also amazing, and then that went into Carlita, which went into Chris Stussy for a sunrise set, and then Luciano was amazing, and then we went into Michael Beebe, who played for 2 hours solo set, which then went into a 4-hour back-to-back with Michael Beebe and Dennis Cruz. It was really only supposed to be a 2-hour, and then Michael Beebe wanted to keep playing. So they kept playing, and then it ended with Josh Baker, back-to-back Rossi, back-to-back Ben Sterling. So like, just a stacked day on the terrace, honestly. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a little packed at times, but you kind of just have to figure out the times that are busier with these sets. A lot of the times it's the beginning of the set on the terrace because everyone wants to see the beginning. And then throughout that set, it's like people go to the bathroom, people get drinks. The one thing I do love about Club Space, especially for Solid Grooves, is that at the ground level, if there's no music playing, they convert that into seating area. That is also where you can get food. So I definitely got some grilled cheeses and you can just hang out and relax. Also in the bathroom, they do have attendees that you can purchase, like if you need any, like a hair tie or if you need deodorant. Of course, you have to tip them and pay them, but it's definitely helpful just to stay fresh and feel clean because it's definitely a marathon, right, to do something like that. And then on the loft level, you can still be in the back and hear the music. Even at the ground level too, you can still hear the music. So you can take a break, still hear the music, and that's how you keep going. We lasted 16.5 hours, and that was because we took breaks, we were drinking water, we had grilled cheese, and we were just, you know, enjoying the vibes and everything. And so yeah, it was a little packed at some moments, and I did have some friends who had after 10 a.m. tickets who got in line at 9:30, and they ended up not being able to see BB. He did end up getting in 3 hours later and got to see the back-to-back, but he just didn't get to see the solo BB set. So you definitely kind of learn some things like that, that even though you have a ticket, it doesn't necessarily guarantee entry just because of capacity levels and things like that. And you do need to buy your tickets beforehand. I will always recommend getting your tickets beforehand because otherwise you're going to pay a cover at the door, which could be anywhere from $300 to $500, especially on Solid Grooves. Maybe on a normal space night, it could be $150 to $200, really just depends the time you go at. So you really want to plan these things ahead of time before you even get to Miami, essentially. Because even if you try to buy resale, it's just crazy and a mess. But overall, Solid Grooves was so much fun. The vibes were on point, and even like the crowd vibes, because I went back to Space on Sunday for the closing party. And even just the crowd vibes were very different. Like everyone at Solid Grooves was just locked in, and like we made so many friends with people around us, and it can be a little bit difficult navigating the crowd because some people just obviously want their space of things. It's a lot easier for girls to get through the crowd, but if you're like a big group, just be mindful of navigating the crowd and the people around you and all those things. And what I will say is that if you are going to Club Space, like respect the rules that they have, because there's a girl that got in a fight with like the security because she wanted to bring a selfie light in, and it's like, girl, like let them hold on to the light, grab it when you leave, like respect the rules there. You're also not allowed to have more than 2 people in one bathroom stall, and they're very strict about that, and girls were trying to like get around that. And so it's just like, respect the club rules, respect the venue rules, and you'll have no issues, you guys. Like it's really that simple. I was just noticing things like that, and it was kind of like, people, get it together, you know, let's have a good time, be good, right? And then you won't have any issues or worry about like risk losing your ticket or getting kicked out and things like that. I will say there is also security too, to be mindful of, and just know what you're allowed to bring in, not allowed to bring in, because they definitely are very thorough about that. And also line can really just depend on the time you go, but it does go pretty quick depending on where the capacity is at. My anytime entry ticket cost $250, and then Andrew had a before 3 a.m. ticket. I think he bought it off a friend for $80, I want to say, but I will definitely be buying first here anytime entry next time, and we will definitely be back for Solid Grooves at Space next year. It is always falling on that Friday, Saturday time frame. So that could be something to know. And that's what we were thinking, is like, honestly, we could just fly in for Solid Grooves and then go to Factory Town one of the nights and then go to the closing parties, and like, that's it, you know, and just enjoy that little bunch. But it, honestly, 10 out of 10 experience, would do again, and highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of house music. Finally, to wrap up our time, we did go to Factory Town on Sunday, and then we did do Space again on Sunday for the closing parties. This day did get a little bit of rain, so there was a delay for doors opening at Factory Town. And we did have before 3 a.m. tickets for Space, so we definitely feel like we messed up our plans just a little bit here. This is where I was saying mistakes were made a little bit, and lessons learned on getting anytime entry tickets and just not having that constraint of like before 3 a.m. And we last minute sent it to Factory Town, you know, so we were only there for a couple hours. We got to see Elro and what that looked like, and got to see Manda Moore with the back-to-back that she was in. We got to see Abo back-to-back Odd Mob, which was great, and then another Beltran back-to-back Chase West set, which they popped off on that one. Out of all the sets that we saw, that one was probably the most fire. We saw a little bit of LF System, and then we went over to Club Space and we saw Beltran, and then that went into Dennis Cruz back-to-back Paca Osuna, and then we ended with another back-to-back Marco Corolla. I was struggling this night. I honestly hit a wall just physically and energetically. Like, it was a lot of dancing, but I was just trying to get through, and still was enjoying the music and taking breaks where I could and drinking waters. And I even tried a coconut at Club Space. It was $14 for a coconut, but it was so refreshing and needed. I got another grilled cheese, and yeah, it was a perfect ending and wrap up to our Miami Music Week. A lot of the same things comparatively to what I thought about Factory Town and Space that I just mentioned. However, for Sunday at Factory Town, they definitely converted all the stages once again for the artists and the respective parties that were happening, which is really cool to just see that they change it up every single night. And that's why I say you could go to Factory Town all week for Miami Music Week and have a great time. You know, it'd be solid, honestly. For our Factory Town closing, we ended up being able to buy off of someone for resale for $65 each, which wasn't too bad. And then our before 3 a.m. closing party ticket was for $100 each on the first tier. That about wraps up breaking it down party by party, venue by venue. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Overall, my favorite standout moments, my favorite kind of moment of Miami Music Week is probably Solid Grooves and Michael Beebe and his back-to-back with Dennis Cruz. Some other standout sets, Rossi at Factory Town, Ben Sterling and Beltran at Factory Town was amazing. Carlita, Chris Dussy, like all of it was just so great. Like, and I got to see a lot of artists that I'd really been wanting to see. So that felt really good to do. And I do think next year I'd be curious to see, you know, what kind of artists and things we'll be leaning towards next year and what parties we're going to go to next year. I would like to try a pool party next year because I've heard a lot of good things about the pool parties. It just didn't work out this time. I would probably say you do a pool party earlier in your Miami Music Week experience. if you wanted to, and then do like Factory Town. If you're gonna go to Ultra, then go do Ultra, and then you could do like one of the closing parties or something like that. But it's definitely possible and doable. You just kind of have to figure out your schedule and what's going to work best, while also honoring getting rest, making sure you're eating enough, staying hydrated, all the things, and really taking care of yourself. I feel like that's how we really survived, is because we picked up groceries and had stuff for our hotel. We didn't drink alcohol, and we just stayed hydrated and took breaks and stretched and all the things. I think that's honestly how we were able to survive. And I didn't end up sick afterwards, which is good. Okay, so I went over some of the logistics earlier in the video and things to think about. Let's talk about the cost. I know you guys are all wondering. So our hotel stay was free, even though we ended up having to book a hotel for Monday night. I was able to book that with credit card points, thankfully. Our flights were $350 flying out from Austin to Miami, and this was going from Wednesday to Monday. Even though we ended up rebooking and flying out Tuesday, there wasn't any cost difference for that. In total, our tickets cost $585. Which is basically more than a festival ticket. That's the cost of Ultra, you know? Spent $90 for experts only, $20 for Franky Rizardo. Our Factory Town Thursday ticket was $60, Factory Town Sunday ticket was $65. Solid Grooves was $250 for me, could have been cheaper. And then our space closing party was $100. We did do a Publix run, which ended up coming out to $60 each. I spent $100 on Ubers and Lyfts. I know Andrew also covered a lot of Ubers and Lyfts, and that was a little hefty for him as well. Our food, which was like some of the meals that we went out to, was $282, as well as food at like some of the venues and stuff. I spent $200 on water. Ouch. Ouch. I know the hydration packs are allowed at Factory Town. I just didn't want to pack my hydration pack. I could have brought a reusable water, so like mistakes were made. Club Space water, next time I'm bringing cash for that and making it super easy. So in total, I spent $1,595.55. But to be honest, it was worth it. Core memories made, all the content that I got to make and have so much fun with, like, it's all priceless to me. Like, honestly, was amazing experience. Would do it again. And this is on the cheaper end. Like, we didn't drink any alcohol. Imagine if we drank. This would be way more, and the hotel too, you know? So I'll take it. I'll take it, right? I'm grateful for the experience, and to have all of the memories made and all of that is just priceless for me at the end of the day. In terms of what we would do differently for next year, anytime entry, no matter what, I'll bring a reusable water bottle of some sort for Factory Town, cash for water at Space, prep for rainy weather. My outfit was fine for rainy weather, but I wish I packed a different pair of shoes. I had higher combat boots, higher knee combat boots, but I wish I brought like a lower combat boot just to have, because at Factory Town there was just puddles everywhere. They could only do so much because it's all concrete, right? And then I want to maybe try a pool party for next year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Overall, would I go again? Yes. I've said it again and I'll say it again. I will definitely go to Miami Music Week again. If you are a fan of electronic music, this is one of the best ways to kick off your festival season and music season in general. It is just such a celebration of where this genre has been, where it's going, and to do it in a really cool space like Miami, where, you know, you can literally dance from sunrise to sunset and all the beautiful things. And the people were incredible. Like there was this girl on Twitter, a burner on Twitter. She literally compared Beyond Wonderland and Miami Music Week, and she said, Miami Music Week is for the clout chasers and Beyond Wonderland is for the music enjoyers. And I was like, I know it's probably rage bait, right? But like, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I literally had experienced so much incredible music already. I got to see so many artists I've been wanting to see. And so many artists play things you haven't even heard. And there's a variety of genres. Like, of course, I leaned more towards the house music, but you can see bass, you can see drum and bass, you can see techno, you can see house music. Like, all the genres are represented at Miami Music Week. And there's just such a variety of different events to experience. There's a whole like winter music conference going on for industry people, which is just so cool to me. I'm not gonna hate on Beyond Wonderland, but that's an Insomniac festival with a very much recycled lineup. Like, I'm trying not to hate, but let's just call it for what it is. Another 2-day festival at the Nas Events Center with the same lineup of artists that you've probably already seen. Just to compare it, right? Like a week-long music event celebrating this genre it doesn't compare. And I'm so glad I got to experience it, and maybe this entices you to definitely check it out for yourself. What I recommend is save your money and definitely prepare to spend some money if you're gonna go to Miami and ball out. If you wanna go with a big group, make it happen. And if you wanna go to Ultra and do Miami Music Week, it's definitely doable. You just gotta figure out your schedule and make it work. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I'm gonna do a follow-up video answering some of your guys' questions if I might have missed anything. If you loved my recap and review of Miami Music Week, feel free to give this a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to vibe with me. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.